My boyfriend told me to quit my dream job because a woman's priority should be her man. When I refused, he smirked, "You won't last without me anyway." Weeks later, I was featured in Forbes, and he showed up at my office begging for a job. I smiled and said, "Funny. I thought I wouldn't last." I, 28 female, moved to Austin, Texas a little over a year ago. After years of grinding in thankless jobs, I landed what I called my dream position, a senior product manager at a tech startup that focused on building back-end systems for small businesses. It wasn't flashy, but it was mine. I loved every part of it. The pace, the pressure, the problem solving. It felt like I was finally using my brain for something real. That's around the time I met Jake, 32 male. Jake ran a home renovation business. Think flannel shirts, steel-toed boots, pickup truck kind of guy. At first, I thought he was refreshing. He wasn't another tech bro. He wasn't trying to talk to me about crypto or trying to pitch his startup idea. He listened. He liked that I had opinions. Or at least he pretended to. We met through a friend and started dating quickly. It felt easy in the beginning. I'd come home after work, he'd have dinner ready. He'd text me midday and say, "Don't work too hard, babe," and I thought it was sweet. But it wasn't sweet. Not really. 3 months in, things changed. Jake started asking questions like, "Do you have to answer that email right now?" Or, "Why do you keep bringing your laptop home?" Or, "Do you really think that job cares about you the way I do?" At first, I laughed it off. I told myself he was just adjusting. I did work a lot, but this was what I had always wanted, to grow, to lead, to build something. I wasn't going to dim that down. Then one night we were watching a movie. I paused it to reply to a quick Slack message from a team member in Asia. Jake got up, walked to the kitchen, came back with a beer, and said, "You're not present anymore. I miss how it used to be." I said, "I'm trying to do something important." That I finally had a job where my work mattered. That's when he looked me dead in the eye and said, "A woman's priority should be her man." It hit me like a slap. I blinked. "Are you serious?" He didn't flinch. "My mom stayed home. My sisters stayed home. That's how it works. A man builds. A woman supports. It's not personal, it's how it should be." I told him I wasn't that kind of woman. That I'd spent years working for this. That I wasn't going to throw it away to make him feel more important. Then he smirked. A cold, nasty kind of smirk. "You won't last without me anyway." I stood there frozen. He said it so easily, like he actually believed it. That was the night everything changed for me. I didn't fight. I didn't explain. I just went quiet. That same night, I packed a bag, told him I needed space, and stayed with a coworker. I didn't go back. I blocked his number 2 days later. I buried myself in work. I started leading a huge internal project that nobody wanted to touch. It was messy, unorganized, behind schedule. But I pushed through. I stayed late, worked weekends, and slowly turned it around. Within weeks, we were seeing results. Then the CEO called me into his office and said, "Forbes is running a piece on upcoming women in tech. I nominated you. They picked you." I couldn't believe it. The article dropped on a Monday morning. I was front and center, quoted about leadership and growth strategy, with a photo taken in our office. By noon, I had 500 plus LinkedIn messages. My phone was blowing up. My inbox was flooded. And then Jake showed up. The front desk called me. Said there was a man named Jake downstairs asking to see me. I hadn't heard his name in over a month. My stomach turned. I walked out to the lobby and there he was, standing near the windows like nothing had happened. He looked smaller, less sure of himself. "Hey," he said. "Congrats on the article. That's huge." I nodded. "Thanks." He shifted his weight, looked at the receptionist, then back at me. "Listen, I was wondering if maybe you guys were hiring." I shut down the business. "Economy's rough right now." I just stared at him. It felt unreal. He added, "I'm good with logistics, sales, hands-on stuff. Maybe there's a fit? I looked at him, really looked at him. The man who told me to quit. Who said I wouldn't last. Now asking me for a handout. I smiled. And I said, funny. I thought I wouldn't last. I turned and walked away. After I turned away from Jake in the office lobby, I thought that would be the end of it. One clean cut. One final line. And for a few days, it felt like it was. I kept pushing forward at work. The Forbes piece gave our startup a flood of new attention. We got calls from investors we hadn't been able to get meetings with before. My CEO started hinting at moving me into a VP role if things kept growing. Everything was on track. Until Jake's name popped up again. This time, not in person. Through someone else. It was a Thursday, a week after he showed up. I was heading out for lunch when I ran into Vanessa, our new HR assistant. She looked uncomfortable. Hey, she said, catching me by the elevator. Quick question. Do you know a guy named Jake Waller? My whole body went cold. Yeah, I said slowly. Why? She looked uneasy. Well, I didn't want to say anything until I checked, but he applied for a facilities role here. He listed you as a reference. I felt like the air got sucked out of the hallway. I forced a small laugh. Did he? That's funny. We used to date. Vanessa raised an eyebrow. Was it a good breakup? No, I said. It wasn't. She nodded. Got it. That's all I needed. I walked back to my office, shut the door, and stared at the wall for 10 straight minutes. What the hell was he doing? He knew I worked there. He knew he wasn't welcome. And still, he applied. And listed me as a reference. As if I'd say something nice. As if I'd help him. I thought maybe that was it. Just some desperate move on his part. But 2 days later, I got a message from a random Instagram account. No name. Just a DM. You think you're so much better now? You forgot who helped you get where you are. At first, I ignored it. But then I got another one the next morning. Keep acting like a queen. Let's see how long the crown stays on. No name. No profile pic. Just those messages. I wasn't scared. I was furious. I screenshotted everything and sent it to a friend who worked in cybersecurity. They traced the IP. It was Jake's. I thought about reporting it. But I didn't. Not yet. Instead, I started digging. I called a friend from Jake's old contracting days. She told me something that made my skin crawl. Apparently, Jake hadn't just shut down his business. He'd been sued. Twice. One for breach of contract. Another for damaging property during a renovation. He was broke. He'd sold his truck. Was sleeping on his cousin's couch. And then came the worst part. He was telling people I ruined him. That I made him give up everything. That he gave up everything to support me, and I walked away when I made it big. He twisted the story so badly it didn't even look like the truth anymore. Now he was calling me the selfish one. The cold one. The villain. I thought about letting it go. I really did. But then someone at a networking event, a woman I barely knew, asked me, hey, didn't you used to date that contractor guy? Jake something? I heard he said you sabotaged his business. I smiled and kept walking. But inside, I was already planning what came next. After that networking event, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying what that woman had said. I heard he said you sabotaged his business. I hadn't spoken to Jake in over a month, and suddenly I was the villain in his story. I couldn't believe how fast people accepted it. I guess a simple story spreads quicker than the truth. So I started calling around. Quietly. People who used to know us. People I hadn't spoken to in months. Every single one had heard some version of Jake's lies. One said, he told me you drained him. That you made him change everything for your career. Another said, he said you promised to fund his business and then dumped him. I never promised him a damn thing. We were never married. I never mixed finances with him. Not once. But he was smart about it. He didn't lie loud, just steady. Like poison dripping slowly. Then I got the message that flipped everything. It was from Sarah, an old friend of Jake's. We weren't close, but we'd had dinner together a couple times. She messaged me on LinkedIn. Said she had something I needed to see. She sent a screenshot of a Facebook post from a closed group for small business owners in Austin. It was Jake's post, dated 2 weeks after our breakup. Here's what it said. Be careful who you build with. I gave up everything to support her dream. I let her focus on her career while I picked up the slack. Then she made it big and dumped me like trash. Women like that only care about power, not people. Over 60 comments. People saying things like, what a snake, and typical career climber, and you're better off without her. He never used my name, but everyone who knew us would know exactly who he meant. That wasn't just a smear campaign. That was character assassination. And he didn't stop there. I found out he'd emailed my CEO directly. He used a fake name, Jeremy T. Used a Gmail account with no photo. The message said, just wanted to let you know your new VP candidate has a history of manipulating men and using relationships to climb the ladder. Don't take my word for it, ask around. Luckily, my CEO saw through it. He called me into his office and showed me the email. I don't know who this is, he said. But I figured you might. I told him everything. I didn't cry. I didn't lose my temper. I laid it out cold. The breakup. The comment about women's priorities. The way he told me I'd fail without him. The Forbes article. Him showing up. The messages. The fake reference. The harassment. My CEO nodded slowly. Then he said something that stuck with me. I've dealt with men like that. They think if they can't control you, they can ruin you. I left his office shaking. But now I wasn't just mad, I was focused. Jake wanted to destroy me in silence. He wanted to twist my story into a cautionary tale. So I decided to tell the real one. Publicly. I wrote a LinkedIn post. Professional, but pointed. Success doesn't come from stepping on others. It comes from surviving people who try to hold you down. In the early days of my career, someone close to me told me I wouldn't last without him. That my priority should be him, not my work. I walked away. Weeks later, I was featured in Forbes. He didn't congratulate me. He showed up at my office begging for a job. I said no. Since then, he's tried to rewrite the story. But I'm not going to stay silent. Women in leadership shouldn't have to apologize for building something without permission. It went viral. Tens of thousands of likes. Thousands of comments. Messages from women all over the country. CEOs. Founders. Students. Strangers. But the best part? Jake saw it. He didn't comment. He didn't respond. But I know he saw it, because 2 days later, I got served a cease and desist letter from Jake, claiming defamation. That's when things really got serious. The letter was waiting at my door when I got home. Plain white envelope. No return address. But the moment I saw the lawyer's firm listed on the header, my stomach twisted. Inside, a cease and desist letter. Signed by a real attorney. It claimed my LinkedIn post was damaging, defamatory, and part of a malicious campaign to harm Jake Waller's personal and professional reputation. They demanded I take it down. That I post a retraction. That I cease all communication regarding Mr. Waller online and offline. It was laughable. But it was also serious. He was playing dirty now. Trying to scare me into silence. I didn't take it down. Instead, I called a lawyer, a woman named Monica who came recommended by one of our investors. She read the letter, looked at me over Zoom, and said, he's bluffing. But if you want to play it safe, we'll be ready. I told her I didn't want to play it safe. I wanted to end this. She smiled. Good. Then let's fight. Monica started gathering everything. The texts. The emails. The fake job application. The fake reference. The fake email to my boss. The DMs. The screenshots of his Facebook post. Every lie. Every attempt to ruin me. Then she pulled something I never would have thought of. She subpoenaed the group admin of that small business Facebook group where Jake had posted his little, poor me speech. Turns out, Jake didn't just write one post. He wrote 6. All public to the group. All slandering me. One even had a blurry photo of me attached, taken from a distance, without my knowledge, walking out of my office. He had stalked me. Monica's team got everything archived. That gave us what we needed. So instead of backing down, we responded with a letter of our own. Not just denying defamation, but accusing him of harassment, cyberstalking, attempted character damage, and defamation. Monica said it best: "You don't bring a match to burn someone down when they're already standing on a mountain of receipts." But just when I thought it couldn't get darker, another name entered the picture: Rachel. Rachel messaged me on Facebook. Her message was short. "Hey, you don't know me, but I used to date Jake too. I think you and I need to talk." I felt sick. I agreed to meet her in a coffee shop downtown. When I walked in, she looked nervous. Early 30s. Worn out. She didn't waste time. She said Jake had dated her for almost a year while he was with me. She didn't find out about me until after we split. She said he'd told her the same exact thing he told me: that she should quit her job. That a woman's priority should be her man. He told her I was crazy, that I was obsessed with work, that I used him, drained him, and left him. Rachel said she had no idea it was all lies until she saw my LinkedIn post. That's when everything clicked. She'd saved things too. Texts, emails, even a voicemail where he called me a soulless shark in heels and bragged about how he'd make sure no one in this town ever takes her seriously again. We sat in that coffee shop for 2 hours. 2 strangers, linked by the same liar. She handed over her files. Said, "Use whatever you need. Just make sure he never does this to another woman again." I promised I would. With Rachel's help, we now had a mountain of evidence. Between my messages, her proof, and the screenshots Monica's team pulled from Facebook, we had enough to make Jake think twice about continuing his little game. Monica started prepping a counter lawsuit: harassment, defamation, and emotional distress. But right as we were getting ready to file, something happened that stopped everything cold. Someone tried to access my work account. Our head of IT flagged it immediately. Said there had been multiple failed login attempts from an unrecognized device using my credentials. My password was strong, changed often. 2-factor authentication caught it. Still, I felt like my skin was crawling. I had a sick feeling in my gut. I asked IT if they could tell where the login attempts came from. They traced it to an IP address linked to a cheap motel on the east side of Austin. My hands were shaking when I hung up. I knew what was coming next. I filed a police report. They didn't do much, just took the report and told me to be careful. Monica added it to our case file, but it was hard to prove intent without a smoking gun. That weekend, I stayed with a friend. I didn't want to be alone. The next morning, I found something even worse. A burner Twitter account had posted a thread. 10 tweets long detailing my job history, my university records, and rumors that I slept with executives to get ahead. They posted a screenshot of my building's address. The tweets didn't have many likes, but it was the kind of thing that spreads fast. I knew if I waited, it would spiral. We reported the account. Took it down in hours. But the damage was done. I sat on the floor that night shaking, my heart pounding like a drum. I'd dealt with crap before. But this felt like someone trying to erase me. I called Monica and said, "We need to go public. Not just a post. All of it." She hesitated. "Are you sure? Once we file, it's war." I said, "It already is." The next day, she filed a full civil suit against Jake Waller in Travis County. Within 24 hours, news got out. Not because I told anyone, but because court filings are public. A reporter who had written the original Forbes piece reached out. She asked if I'd be willing to speak. I said yes. We sat down for a full interview. I told her everything. The control, the manipulation, the harassment, the way he weaponized my success against me. I didn't give every detail, just enough for the truth to be heard. The piece ran online first. Title: He said she wouldn't last without him. Now she's suing him for trying to destroy her. It exploded. Jake couldn't hide anymore. But he didn't back off. He went online. He made videos. Rambling, angry clips where he called me a corporate snake and said I was trying to cancel real men. He posted old pictures of us and said, "Does this look like abuse to you?" He tried to flip the script again. But this time, people weren't buying it. Because this time, I wasn't alone. Rachel came forward. So did two more women. One of them had been his fiancée years ago. Said he'd controlled her too. Made her quit her job. Tried to isolate her from her family. Another was a bartender who said Jake stalked her for months after she turned him down. The puzzle came together fast. And the image was clear now. Jake didn't just lose control, he couldn't handle women who had any. Now he was spiraling. And what he did next made it personal in a way I never expected. I didn't hear from Jake for a week after the news article ran. No DMs. No fake emails. No burner accounts. It was quiet, but not peaceful. The kind of silence that feels like something's about to blow. And it did. That Saturday, I got a call from Rachel. Her voice was shaking. "You need to get down to the courthouse." "What happened?" "Jake," she said. "He showed up this morning. Screaming in the parking lot. Threatening to go public. Saying it's all a setup. That you all ruined him." The cops were called. I drove straight there. By the time I arrived, Jake was gone. But the damage was done. Someone had recorded it. Him pacing, yelling, saying things like, "These women want to ruin strong men, and she wouldn't be anyone without me." It went viral within hours. The court expedited our hearing. Jake's lawyer dropped him. Now it was just him, no defense, no cover. The day of the hearing, he tried to act calm, wore a wrinkled suit, and sat with his arms folded. But his eyes darted everywhere, like he couldn't believe this was happening to him. I took the stand. I told the truth. Every ugly part of it. From his first comments to the stalking to the lies to the public shaming. I read the DMs, showed the screenshots. Monica handled the legal fire. I just had to stand there and not look away. Jake didn't speak. Not once. When the judge gave the ruling, an order of protection, a financial penalty for defamation, and a permanent ban from contacting me again, Jake just sat still. Didn't blink. Didn't flinch. But I watched something in him crack. After the ruling, I walked out of that courtroom with Monica and Rachel. It was over. But not for him. Because within days, every client who'd ever worked with Jake now saw who he really was. The videos, the emails, the Facebook posts, all of it came out. His reputation? Gone. His old clients? Cancelled him. The cousin he was staying with? Kicked him out. The job offers he was chasing? All vanished. I didn't have to ruin him. He did that all on his own. 3 weeks later, he showed up again. But not at my office. Not at my house. He showed up at a local job fair. He was handing out resumes. Sweating through his shirt. Hair greasy. Trying to smile at booths that wanted nothing to do with him. I didn't speak to him. Didn't need to. But the woman running the booth next to him, she recognized me. She came up to me, glanced at Jake, and whispered, "Is that the guy from the article?" I nodded. She shook her head. Damn. Thought he'd look stronger. I didn't laugh. I didn't even smile. I just walked away. Because the thing about revenge? Sometimes, it's not about destroying someone. It's about surviving while they destroy themselves. And that's exactly what he did. He thought I couldn't last without him. But it turns out, he couldn't last without control. And when he lost that, he lost everything. As for me, I'm now VP of Product. Still in Austin. Still building. Still standing. And I didn't quit a damn thing.